Today on my table, quite interesting whiskey from Clynelish distillery, 10 years old whiskey bottled by the Royal Mail Whiskies. Hello and welcome back. My name is Vlad, and in today's video I'm gonna be talking about whiskey from the Clynelish distillery, bottled by the Royal Mail Whiskies. But before I will go for it, guys, I just need to say sorry for that quite a long break on this channel, almost 2 months since I published any videos. So yeah, I'm back now. Hopefully I'll try my best to publish videos at least once a week now, so that's my plan for the future. Sorry for that break, guys. I'm hoping you will forgive me. We have very nice whiskey on the table today. This is whiskey from a Clynelish distillery, Highland whiskey. I love Clynelish, to be honest. I'm very happy always when I can try, when I can drink Clynelish. And this one is quite interesting, to be honest. As I mentioned, this is Clynelish from Royal Mail Whiskies. They are not independent bottlers, but I would call them independent. I would call this bottle as an independent bottled whiskey, because the Royal Mail Whiskies is an online retailer, is an online shop, and obviously when you're running that kind of business, you can bottle some whiskey under your own label, I would say. And in this case, we have that kind of small batch whiskey, 10 years old, Clynelish, bottled at 46% of ABV, unchill filtered, no color added, and on the label it states is a marriage of the 5 hogsheads, bottled January 2026. I need to say this is quite nice label. I do like this label a lot, to be honest. This label looks very nice. Fancy old school label. I like that kind of stuff. Yeah, 10 years old Clynelish. Quite naturally presented. I have visited a Royal Mail Whiskies shop a couple years ago when I was first time in Edinburgh. I even record some video all around the shop, inside the shop, as well as a recommendation for the whiskey shopping for people who are, when they're going to the Edinburgh, when they decide to visit Edinburgh. So that was my recommendation for the whiskey shopping. Obviously, I went through loads of different pubs, bars, and restaurants all around the city, and also make a couple of short videos with the recommendation where to go and have a nice dram where you're visiting Edinburgh, beautiful city in Scotland. Yeah, this whiskey, as I mentioned, 5 different ex-bourbon casks. Very pale color, to be honest, and the nose is very fresh. So on the nose, this whiskey is quite citrusy, quite zesty, very fresh, a little grainy, but you can smell that kind of Clynelish vibe. A bit of waxiness, a bit of honey touch, Loads of grains, green apples, green pears, quite sweet on the nose. Not much complex of this whiskey. It's not very complex one, but definitely is quite interesting. Let's go for the palate. Initially, on the palate, there is some sweetness. There is that kind of waxy honey notes as well, with loads of green orchard fruits, I would say. Apples, pears, kind of grain notes as well, malted barley. This whiskey is a 10 years old whiskey, and due to the color of the whiskey, you can tell that the extraction from the casks wasn't the best one. I don't know, that was a first fill bourbon or refill bourbon, or but I would say this is a refill casks based on the color and on the palate. So this whiskey is more towards the very fresh whiskey. I'm not saying it's like a very spirity or very young or very like new make spirit, but it has a loads of young whiskey vibe. It is quite balanced and it is quite settled, but still it's going towards that kind of new makey vibes, that kind of thing. Let's go for another one. The alcohol here is quite nicely integrated, so it's not like, you know, alcohol sharpness or nothing like that, but I like this whiskey for that kind of freshness. As I said, it's loads of fruits, loads of that kind of citrus zestiness in here, with the touch of honey, touch of waxiness, which, yeah, obviously this is Clynelish, definitely, so you can tell straight away you're drinking a Clynelish whiskey at this moment. And I like this whiskey. To be honest, this is very enjoyable daily sipper, Netflix dram, like daily dram. £49 I paid for that bottle. £49 for the Clynelish whiskey. So this is actually the price of the standard 14 years old official bottling of Clynelish, which is definitely more bourbonish, I would say. In that 14 years old whiskey, you've got more of that cask aspects. This is like very fresh, more distillery character aspects, I would say. Yeah, that's what I want to say. Yeah, so obviously I like ex-bourbon whiskies, and I like when the whiskey is fresh. I like the zesty, citrusy, fresh, fruity whiskies. That's my top favorite whiskies. And this situation here reminds me a bit of what's happened with Talisker 10. Talisker 10, perfectly known whiskey all around the whiskey drinkers. So if you remember that Talisker 10 with that white blue label, the old one, that was like very Taliskerish, very sea salt, kind of sea breezy, that kind of style, with touch of the casks influence there. But the new Talisker 10, after rebranding, is more like a more heavy on the cask way, I would say, the maturation. So it's like a much heavy towards the bourbonish thing, like a more caramel, vanilla. It's more heavy, like more wood heavy whiskey. And to be honest, I do prefer the old one definitely more. That's my definite choice. The old bottling, the fresh one, was more interesting to me. And same here. This Clynelish for me is very, very nice. I like that freshness. I like that beautiful character of distillery with not much casks influence here. And that's actually is what I'm enjoying in a whiskey at this moment. Let's go for another sip. This lovely gingery spiciness coming up when you swallow, and that explosion of fruitiness, fresh fruitiness, lemongrass, zestiness, and the honey sweetness, that waxiness, that nice oily texture in this whiskey. I love this whiskey for that kind of fresh vibes. I do like this whiskey a lot, to be honest. I'm gonna enjoy this bottle with every single glass. Nicely balanced, well done Clynelish whiskey with not much casks influence. I like that kind of vibes in the whiskey, to be honest. Yeah, I remember a couple years back, Master of Malt in his in the single cask collection, they released Glenelgin 17 years old with refill from the refill bourbon casks, and that was I remembered Vin from No Nonsense Whiskey. He mentioned about this Glenelgin whiskey because in the offer that bottle costs about £49, I think, for 17 years old Glenelgin whiskey. And that reminds me that very pale color and not much casks influence, but you know, the character of distillery was very, very noticeable. And the same here. That's why I like this whiskey. So that's all, guys. If you ever try this whiskey, just leave it a comment down below. Just share your opinion. I think this bottle might be still available at the Royal Mail Whiskey shop. So yeah, just pop into the website and have a look. If it's still available for 49 quid, fully recommended. If you live in UK, you have a beautiful access to nice fresh Clynelish whiskey, guys. Thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you very much for your support, for your time, for your subscriptions, and I do apologize for the long break with publishing videos on this channel. Thank you very much, guys. Cheers to you, Slanjeva, and see you in the next video.